Give it a second. All right, here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, wherever you're joining us from. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Trevor from the DoraHacks team, and I'm thrilled to be joined here with Sam Kazemian, founder of Frax Finance. And for those of you who are not familiar, Frax is currently hosting a really awesome hackathon right now, focused on Fraxtal, their innovative modular roll-up. So for those of you who don't know, that the hackathon has a bunch of different opportunities and substantial prizes as well for developers. In today's workshop, you'll get a unique chance to dive in to the Fraxtal ecosystem with none other than Sam himself. So without further ado, Sam, I'm going to hand it off to you. And if you have questions, go ahead and drop them into the comments and we can address them after. Sam, Fraxtal.
Hey, Trevor, thanks for having me. Hey, everyone. This is a technical workshop, so I'm going to go over some of the coolest things, in my opinion, about how we built Fraxtal, our modular rollup. And so for all the hackers that are building everything, just a few critical pieces of technical development that I think is important for Fraxtal on-chain applications, as well as if developers are thinking of launching an L3 app chain on Fraxtal, which is something unique and new. So we'll go over some of those best practices and things to do. So first thing I wanted to go over, this is actually the Fraxtal points block space incentives technical documentation. It's available for anyone that is just on the docs, but I wanted to explain what it actually is. So anyone that actually deploys a smart contract on Fraxtal, so anyone that's obviously thinking of submitting a full hack and deploying contracts to Fraxtal mainnet, what will happen is, depending on how much your smart contracts are used, your contracts will get Fraxtal points, and those Fraxtal points will obviously eventually have a actual value and will be convertible to some form of token in the future. But what's really interesting is the actual mechanism that we've built for this. So what it is that actually every single block that Fraxtal goes through, which is a quick 2-second block, like any rollup, like op and the other op stack rollups like base, there is a certain amount of Fraxtal points that gets distributed to the smart contracts that actually are called in that block based on an algorithm, like how often your smart contracts got used in the prior blocks, or historically your smart contracts get used, or a base amount of Fraxtal, just even if the smart contract is new. And so you can actually come and see how the Fraxtal block space incentives works here, and actually read about the full way that the algorithm works in terms of figuring out the popularity of the smart contract, which is the total amount of gas a smart contract or a system actually uses over time in the Fraxtal blockchain. Now, one thing that we wanted to actually do is make sure that this kind of mechanism is actually running for a long time, not just actually running for an airdrop or like a month or two or anything, right? And so the main thing is that this mechanism will be going on essentially for years, right? And there's tail emissions, and so the Fraxtal points, even after they're tokenized, they will still be distributed through the Flox block space incentive system. And one thing that's pretty important for people deploying their smart contracts is the delegation system in the docs that I wanted to go over, which is, if you're going to deploy a protocol, an application, or anything like that that has multiple smart contracts, what you'll probably want to do is you'll want to register your smart contracts under one delegation, so that one address, or multiple, if you like it in that way, receives all the Fraxtal points. Otherwise, each of your smart contracts will have to have a Fraxtal points claiming function, which is a new feature that not necessarily everyone wants to add, but the best way to do it is just to add a delegation registry. And so you can come here and actually register your smart contracts in the actual delegation registry of the actual Phlox block space incentive system. And so there's obviously the contracts on mainnet as well as on testnet if you want to test your contracts and make sure that the delegation is properly set. Now, if the delegation is not set, the actual Fraxtal core developer team, the team that runs the sequencer, which is us for the time being, we are able to help you one time and set the delegation so that if you're a team, you just want to deploy your contracts to Fraxtal mainnet, you already did, and they don't have the claiming function or anything like that, fear not. It doesn't mean that your Fraxtal points are permanently unclaimable for those contracts as they're used every single block. You can actually ask us to set the delegation a single time. And so once they're set, then the delegate can actually move them to another delegation, or you have control over them. So this is one thing, though, that we wanted all developers to be fully aware of, because they're incentives that they earn literally as their application is used. And one of the most unique value props of building on Fraxtal, which is that every single time your contract is used, you will actually get Fraxtal points that are then valuable after they are tokenized. So that's the block space incentive system and the Phlox system that we've developed. You can kind of think about it like as a block by block airdrop. So the good news for this is if you're early, right, which is all the builders are, Fraxtal is a pretty new blockchain. And as more and more protocols launch, there will be more transactions per block. But if you're early and your contract is the only transaction in a block, it's like being early to a DeFi farm or a yield opportunity or something like that, but on a blockchain level, right? So you will get all of the Fraxtal points that's allocated for that particular block. So it does pay to be early, which is what this hackathon is all about. So this is the most important thing that I wanted to start with on the technical workshop. So if you're a developer and you're looking to maximize the amount of obviously prizes that you can win for the hackathon, but also have longevity in your deployed application as a long-term oriented builder, make sure that you're taking full advantage of your actual Fraxtal points. And so one thing I'll share super quick is that the Fraxtal points smart contract itself is on chain. So while a lot of points programs and things like that from projects are this kind of point system that they keep in their database, or like, you can only view them on their front end, that is not how Fraxtal points works. Fraxtal points are on the official Fraxscan block explorer. This, as you can see, is by the Etherscan team. Great team. Fraxscan is the official block explorer. And as you can see, the Fraxtal points token tracker is essentially a token without a transfer function. So you can kind of think about what will happen later once that transfer function is turned on, right? And so you can actually see all of the holders that have earned Fraxtal points, how much your smart contracts have Fraxtal points, and these get distributed on-chain and pushed in a batched proof method every single epoch, and that's explained in the documentation that I was just sharing. So that's very unique. That's unique to Fraxtal points, and our whole system is that it's verifiable on chain, and you can see the entire contract and everything. So that's the overall view on Fraxtal points. Assuming there's no other question, I'll kind of go through the second topic, which is the superchain perks and consoles of Fraxtal and optimism. Cool. So next, what I want to go over is for everyone building on Fraxtal, you've probably heard of the op stack and obviously optimism mainnet, which is one of the largest rollups, and everyone by now has probably heard of Base, as well as the other optimistic op stack rollups that have launched. Fraxtal is actually the third overall op stack roll up to confirm to join the superchain after base and obviously op mainnet. And so you can see that everything that Op Labs actually offers for the superchain and usually offers for base, they will offer for Fraxtal. And so one of the things we want to make sure that devs are aware of is that if you're building on Fraxtal, in terms of superchain perks, you get the exact same perks, features, and resources that Base and the other superchains have. So one of the my favorite places to go is the console, .optimism.io superchain console, which has UIs for safes, multi-sigs, testnet paymaster system, which is actually a method that eventually you can have your own dApp pay for the actual gas on the chain so that it's essentially free for your users. And so we actually will have programs in the near future when the paymaster system is live. So will the Optimism Superchain overall program. There will be places where there's just times where everyone can get free gas paid for by us, paid for by Base. Everyone that's in the superchain will be able to use this paymaster system. And there's other features, including retroactive funding that Optimism actually funds very generously. So if you build something on Fraxtal that is a public good, maybe it is not necessarily a hack that is a AMM or DeFi protocol or something like that, but it is a public good kind of system, then you can actually apply for getting op grants. And even though it's on Fraxtal and not on Optimism mainnet, you completely are able to qualify for all of those. So this is one thing I want to make sure that all of our developers, hackers, people who are joining the Fraxtal ecosystem know that in addition to Fraxtal points and the Flocks algorithm that we were just talking about, FXS incentives, which we give for deployed applications and everything else, protocol-owned liquidity, which our DeFi stack and our Frax stablecoin can provide through governance votes and everything. You can also get all of these additional perks in the Optimism Superchain dev console and L3s actually, which I will go over soon as well. So that's super important and a good thing to not forget about. And a few other things that I wanted to go over is that as you get ready to push your application live and your hack live through the DoraHacks submission console, don't forget to also start adding your completed applications to the Fraxtal ecosystem tab. And it's super easy. All you have to do is you just click and you can submit a pull request with your logo, your application, and we periodically basically add those to the ecosystem tab, and you should see your hack. Maybe you want to wait until a day or two before the deadline, which was recently actually extended to July 5th. And yeah, so that's one quick thing to also keep in mind for all of the developers. Other things, if you're building a DeFi platform and obviously need oracles and everything else for developers, we've partnered with Redstone, which is the official oracle system of everything on Fraxtal, and they are natively pushing price feeds for LSTs, LRTs, stake Frax Ether, many of the tokens that everyone needs for lending, liquidity, and everything else. So make sure to use Redstone as a official price source and for other data services. If you are in the Fraxtal Builders group, you can tag them. They're there. We can also make intros, and they're awesome. So just wanted to drop that in as well. So next, I wanted to actually go over L3s. So as a lot of hackers might know, most people are probably working on Fraxtal mainnet applications, so smart contracts deployed to Fraxtal mainnet. However, we do have a L3 track, which means if you want to build your application, whether it's a DEX, it's a perp trading DEX, it's a game or anything like that, but you want to have your own app chain, then we have an L3 track. So for people who actually want to launch their own rollup but have their settlement system on Fraxtal mainnet. So everything is bridged from Fraxtal to their actual L3. So they have their own chain from the beginning. That is also a track. In fact, that's what we call fractal scaling. That's part of how we see Fraxtal growing in the coming years, which is you can launch an application on mainnet and you can actually grow the application. And then when you want to actually be your own app chain in a multi-chain, multi-rollup world, you can actually transition whenever you want, whether it's from the beginning or later, into a L3 app chain. And so it's actually much easier than people think, especially as it's going to get even easier to deploy your own chain and launch your own smart contracts on there. And as long as you settle on Fraxtal, then you can actually be an L3 and get L3 incentives, Fraxtal points with the same flocks mechanism to your smart contract, your L3 smart contract that pushes your blocks to the Fraxtal mainnet. So Anchor and Conduit are our partners for this. Conduit is still working on getting a full Fraxtal settlement, but are actively looking to have intros to teams that are building L3s. So if that's one of you guys and you'd want to talk to Conduit, which is a roll-up as a service provider, please tag me or tag anyone on the team in the Fraxtal Builders Telegram, and they will help intro you to Anchor or Conduit, depending on who you want to work with. They're both fantastic. We love them. Anchor is amazing. They will give you the best rates and machines for running sequencers. Conduit has a very brilliant and sleek UI. This is what I wanted to share and just show everyone how easy it is to have a L3. Right now, the settlement layers they obviously currently have is Ethereum, Base, Zora, and Mode, but they're prepared to have the very first L3 settlement, hopefully through the hackathon, if any of the new teams are looking to win the L3 track prizes to Fraxtal. So you'll soon see the Fraxtal logo hopefully here as we continue to work with Conduit, or actually you'll be the first or second L3s that can be deployed with Conduit. And it's super simple because all you have to do, let's say that you did want to do this after Conduit integrates Fraxtal settlement, you can just click here and you can basically have your L3, settle to one of these where Fraxtal will be a choice. You can pick your data availability layer, and you can click this or Celestia. Any of these works great, and then you can literally deploy your chain and then deploy your smart contracts on that chain. So now you have an L3 rollup where the settlement contract is on Fraxtal mainnet, which is the actual L2. That settlement contract is earning Fraxtal points based on how much it's being used in the blocks that are on the Fraxtal mainnet. And your chain is a completely sovereign chain with block space, and you can change the gas tokens, you can change everything. In fact, this is very cool. You can have your own ERC20 token that you launch be the gas token. You can have Frax Ether, Frax stablecoins, other stablecoins, whatever that you want to actually be the gas pricing in your chain. And so Anchor can help you set this up. Conduit can help you set this up, and eventually you'll be able to set this up through this UI that I'm sharing for Fraxtal settlement. So just wanted to share this, even though the Fraxtal settlement is not supported on the UI currently with Conduit. I wanted to show all developers just how easy it is to launch an L3, and it's only going to get easier and easier. So that's why we actually have the Fraxtal L3 stack prizes, because we think that it doesn't actually matter if you're a application on Fraxtal mainnet or you're an L3 that settles to Fraxtal mainnet. You're part of the entire Fraxtal ecosystem, whether you're L3 on the Fractal, right, or you're building on the base Fractal, right, which is the Fraxtal mainnet smart contract system, right? And with the topic of L3s, I also wanted to share kind of this tweet from Optimism. You can go find it, or I can put the link in the chat, which is Optimism supports L3s on the superchain, which means if you're an L3, you also have all of the additional superchain perks that you would if you were an application on Fraxtal mainnet. Additionally, if you use the op stack and everything that is in the Optimism ecosystem, you can actually get all the same perks, all the same grants and the incentives from Optimism that you would actually that Fraxtal gets from Optimism. You would also additionally get it. In fact, you would stack incentives, so to speak, by getting Fraxtal points, FXS incentives, and all the other good stuff, the Frax stablecoin yields and everything. So it really does pay to be an L3 because you'll get our support, Optimism support, additionally all the other yields and everything. So it's definitely a really good idea and something interesting to consider. Now, obviously, there's advantages and disadvantages to being an L3 depending on what you're building. If you're building DeFi and, for example, composability with the other applications on Fraxtal mainnet is a big deal to you, you might want to think about starting out entirely on Fraxtal mainnet and not your own app chain. But if it's something like GameFi, SocialFi, like Farcaster or Friendtech, or if it's something that is a contained ecosystem like a perpetuals trading protocol where speed is extremely important, and all traders have to do is just bring their collateral asset like that they want to hedge. You can just have an L3 and people can trade on your chain with your gas pricing, your gas token, and the collateral that you accept. People can just bridge it through Fraxtal mainnet, and then they can leave and go back up to Fraxtal mainnet when they're done trading. And it's a very seamless and very good experience. Lastly, on the L3 track, if you're launching an L3 application, one of the main things I think all teams should do is they should fill out the L2 beat documentation, the Google Docs there, so they track your chain. L2 beat is kind of like the DeFi llama of chains. If hackers have heard of it, DeFi llama is kind of the standard that tracks all DeFi and other applications on a blockchain with total value locked. L2 beat is the same thing, but mainly focusing on rollups. And they started out with L2s, which is what their namesake is. But as more and more Fractal like scaling L3s, and who knows, maybe by next year L4s happen, they are also tracking those. So the L3 ecosystem is very small and new, which is usually a great time to build and innovate there. They only track 16 L3 projects currently. And our goal with Fraxtal is to get the first few L3s that actually settle on Fraxtal. So as you can see, there aren't many. There's a few on Arbitrum and there's a few on Base. And the goal is after this hackathon from a few teams that I've already talked to, there will be a few on Fraxtal as well. So in fact, Fraxtal might be the most fractally scaled chain for its size and its age if we can do this fractal scaling roadmap correctly, where Fraxtal will have maybe as many or even more L3s as Arbitrum, which is over 2 years older than Fraxtal, or Base, which is enjoys the direct benefits of being owned by Coinbase and onboarding all of their users. So with our heavy incentives and our focus on fractal scaling and our encouragement of people to launch L3s and developers to innovate on the L3 ecosystem, I actually think we can dominate this chart together and earn a lot of incentives from OP, Fraxtal, FXS, and all these things. So if you're building an L3, don't forget to add your actual chain to be tracked as soon as it is live with your rollup as a service partner, whether it's Anchor or Conduit or any of the other ones if you decide to do it. And I don't know, Victor, I don't know if we should, sorry, Trevor, I don't know if we should ask any questions right now, or if there's anyone on or if we should just wait on any of the. I don't have too much other stuff to share. One last thing I wanted to go through, which is the data availability tech stack for Fraxtal, which is basically Fraxtal is unique in the entire ecosystem in that we have a aggregated DA layer, which means we don't just submit the Fraxtal blocks to Ethereum mainnet, but we submit it to multiple other places, including IPFS, as well as EIP 4844 blobs, and we're currently integrating NearDA, Celestia, and EigenDA, as well as basically looking at the most important places to make sure that the Fraxtal blocks are there. And so if you're an L3 on Fraxtal, when you push your blocks to Fraxtal itself, then your block data ends up in multiple places, which is even more secure than if it was just sent to a single location. So that's something that's really cool that we've designed with Fraxtal with a forward-thinking L3 roadmap, right? Because if we want to have a lot of L3s, one of the most important considerations for L3s is how secure is our L3? Is it going to be as secure as the rollup? And if the rollup is not as secure in terms of DA, if it's not on Ethereum or it's only in one place, then an L3 might say, okay, well, we're just going to do an L2 and pick our DA location, while we actually push the DA to many locations. So not only is it extremely secure, but you actually get your L3's data on multiple locations just by being a L3 on Fraxtal. And that's mostly the content that I wanted to share for the technical workshop for everyone that is deploying Fraxtal applications on mainnet, and also considering the L3 track for app chains. So make sure to get all the perks with Fraxtal points and registering your delegation, as well as the superchain perks. And if you're one of the L3 app chain teams, make sure to check out all of the places that you're able to launch your L3, as well as start tracking your chain on the appropriate L2B page. So thanks, that's it. And if there's any live questions, we'll make sure to take any of them now. Otherwise, I'm around the clock on Telegram and can answer them as people watch the actual stream. And I'm sure people will ask some questions about Fraxtal points, as well as a few teams that are working on their L3 in terms of the options they have, and like where they're going to work with, who they're going to work with, and how they should pick their DA or their gas tokens and things like that. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for covering all of that, Sam. Really incredible stuff here. Like I learned a thing or two. I actually learned plenty listening to you go through all of that, and I hope that everybody listening was really paying attention here. And we've dropped some links as well into the chat in terms of the Fraxtal Builder Telegram is in there. All of your documentation is in there. Block Explorer is in there. General documents are in there as well. And then, if anybody has a question, this is really your chance to talk to Sam. But like you said, I don't think many of us really sleep. So I'm sure, if you join their Discord and reach out to them in the Telegram, I'm sure, Sam, you or one of your engineers.
It's not your only chance, even though I want to make it sound like it. I am around and very, very available around the clock. I know there's a lot of teams where it's like, the team members show up and then they, then it's just like the community has to figure it out. Now I'm always available unless I'm sleeping, but I always have Telegram up when I'm working, and I'm pretty easy to reach, especially for people that are building, right? As a builder and developer, I always want to just talk to people that are actually exploring the ecosystem. So definitely can be reached basically anytime on Telegram, as well as on X. So if anyone wants to reach out, my DMs are open around the clock.
the official name. We're calling it X now. The deadline is July 5th, I think, right, Sam? July 5th. So
yeah, and we originally had it June 21st, and because a lot of people were building really awesome stuff and they wanted a little bit more time, and it seemed like a great idea, we extended it by 14 days. So maybe there's even another final, workshop or something, maybe 5 days before, like, tying up loose ends for technical workshop or things like that, final testing before submissions. We could even do something like that. So people have until July 5th. That's the day after 4th of July for anyone in the US. So make sure to have it done earlier so you can spend your 4th of July if you celebrate it, if you're in the US. So there's still plenty of time.
Yeah, I mean, that was my way of saying to everybody listening that, like, there's still plenty of time. Literally, there's plenty of time to get started, get going, talk to Sam, talk to the team, figure out what you want to build, get into the weeds on it, and really take a swing at building something awesome with their stack. So join the Discord, join the Telegram, get engaged. And it's DoraHacks.io/hackathon/Fraxtal. I know that's a lot, and that's Fraxtal, Fraxtal. Go check it out. Go bug Sam. There's a lot of prizes available, and there's tons of support also available, which is something that is something that I think we really love. So, Sam, thank you for taking the time. Everybody, go check out the hackathon at DoraHacks.io. Reach out, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of this, Sam, and I'm sure you are too. Yeah.
Definitely. I'll say one final thing for everyone building is that we also have this, I'm sure people have seen if they're tuning in here, which is the tiered post hackathon prizes as well, that are follow-on prizes and milestone based, and they're millions of dollars of incentives in addition to everything we were just talking about for the past 30 minutes straight, which is that people will win prizes. Obviously, in terms of their immediate hack, they're obviously able to earn a lot of Fraxtal points, FXS incentives, everything we already discussed. But depending on the TVL of your hack or your protocol or your L3, across the following 6 months after the hackathon, you can earn up to $1 million in liquid, prizes, FXS tokens, and Frax stablecoins. So you can actually earn a lot of additional prizes just by making sure that you continue to build within the ecosystem and push whatever you're building to its full potential. Because that's our way of basically saying that we recognize long-term builders, and we want to make sure that if you're sticking around in Frax ecosystem, you're building on our chain, you're building an L3 or your own chain, and it's growing, you're not just going to get the prizes that you earn for the hackathon on July 5th. You're going to actually earn, hopefully, $1 million additionally in the next few months as well. So it's a really big thing. I don't know other hackathons really that have follow-on prizes. Hopefully, it actually becomes a much more common thing, because I think that's something that everyone, I think, should do, especially to make sure to show teams that they're in it for the long haul, and to actually continue rewarding teams that have earned it. So if that sounds cool to you guys, and building on a chain that's early, you've come to the right place.
Sam Kazemian, founder of Frax Finance, Fraxtal. Thank you again for hosting this incredible workshop. Everybody, again, reach out, check out the socials, check out the page, and have a wonderful night. Thanks for tuning in, and get ready for the next one. And thanks for tuning in. Have a good night.
Thanks, Trevor. Take care, guys.
Yeah,
See you guys. Bye.